It had been years since J.D. Vance last walked the streets of Middletown, Ohio, the small, worn-out town where he had grown up fighting against the weight of poverty and despair. Now a national figure, his days were filled with politics, meetings, and the heavy burden of expectations. Yet, nothing could have prepared him for the letter that arrived one rainy Thursday afternoon. The envelope was plain, smeared slightly at the edges, as if handled nervously by small fingers. It wasn't from a politician or a journalist. It was from an 11-year-old boy named Caleb Walker. The letter read, "Dear Mr. Vance, my name is Caleb. I live in the trailer park near Roosevelt Street. I read your book because my school made us, but I liked it. Sometimes I feel like nobody gets what it's like here. My mom works 2 jobs, but we still don't have enough. My little sister cries because she's hungry. I just wanted to ask, how did you not give up? If you have any advice, I would really like to hear it. Sincerely, Caleb Walker." JD sat frozen, the paper trembling slightly in his hand. The words sliced through the polished armor he'd built around himself. For a moment, he was no longer the polished politician. He was the scared, angry boy sitting on his grandmother's porch, wondering why the world felt so stacked against him. He thought about sending a standard reply, maybe a few encouraging lines typed by an assistant. That's what busy men did. But he couldn't. Not this time. Not for Caleb. Instead, JD canceled his next meeting, picked up the phone, and called his staff. "I'm going to Middletown," he said simply. "When?" his aide asked. "Now." By nightfall, JD was standing at the front door of a small, battered trailer with peeling paint and a rusted swing set in the yard. He knocked softly. The door creaked open, and a thin boy with messy brown hair and cautious eyes peered out. "Caleb?" JD asked, smiling gently. The boy's eyes widened. For a second, he stood speechless, then nodded. JD knelt down so they were eye to eye. "I got your letter," he said, "and I thought maybe it'd be better if I answered it in person." That night, JD sat on a lumpy couch in Caleb's living room, sharing pizza with Caleb, his little sister Emma, and their exhausted mother, who kept apologizing for the mess. He told Caleb about his own dark nights, about sleeping hungry, about being angry at the world, about the people who had loved him, even when he pushed them away. "You don't have to be perfect," JD said. "You just have to keep getting back up." Before leaving, JD pulled out a battered old notebook from his bag, the very same one he had used to write his first notes for Hillbilly Elegy. He handed it to Caleb. "This is yours now," he said. "Write your story. Tell it even when it hurts, especially when it hurts." Caleb clutched the notebook as if it were made of gold. As JD drove away into the night, the rain starting to fall again, he realized the truth. This wasn't about politics. This wasn't about fame. It was about remembering where you came from and reaching back with both hands to lift the next kid up. J.D. Vance had received a letter from a boy in his hometown, and somehow, in answering it, he had found a piece of himself he didn't know was missing. Over the next few weeks, J.D. couldn't get Caleb out of his mind. Between speeches, debates, and endless meetings in Washington, he found himself wondering, was Caleb okay? Was he writing? Was he still fighting to hold on to hope? Finally, he called Caleb's mother, Sarah Walker. She hesitated at first. She wasn't used to powerful men taking interest in people like her. But eventually, her voice softened. "He's different now," she said quietly. "Every night, he's writing. He tells his sister stories before bed. He talks about dreams, real dreams, Mr. Vance. Not just getting through the day." JD smiled as he hung up the phone. He realized that sometimes, the smallest gestures, a reply, a story, a shared pizza on a battered couch, could start a fire in a heart that had nearly gone cold. Months later, back in Middletown for a town hall event, JD made a surprise announcement. "We're launching a program," he said into the microphone, looking straight into the crowd where Caleb and his family sat, "to support kids who grow up like I did, like Caleb did. Not just with scholarships or charity, but with mentorship, with belief, with a promise that they are not invisible." The crowd erupted into applause. Caleb's eyes shone with pride, holding that same battered notebook in his lap. Afterward, as people swarmed around JD, shaking his hand, thanking him, taking photos, he saw Caleb standing off to the side, clutching the notebook against his chest. JD knelt down again, just like the first night. "How's the writing coming?" he asked. Caleb grinned, a real grin, not the wary, practiced smile of a kid used to disappointment. "I'm going to write a book someday," he said firmly. "And when I do, I'm gonna tell them it started because someone answered my letter." JD laughed, but there was a tightness in his throat he couldn't hide. "You do that, Caleb," he said, voice rough, "and I'll be the first one in line to buy it." As he walked away that night, the town lights shimmering like stars against the dark Ohio sky, JD Vance understood something profound. Sometimes we spend our whole lives climbing, thinking the summit is the goal. But maybe, just maybe, the real victory is reaching back down the mountain and pulling someone else up